Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Commander Pod, your Magic the Gathering podcast for all things Commander. I'm Kelton Howell.
And I'm Spencer Simpson. This week, we're going to be talking about different types of interaction that you can try in your Commander decks. We've talked about interaction before. It's one of the vegetables that helps your deck perform pretty consistently. And we've done an episode on it, actually. We did it as part of our Power Levels series. If you haven't already, make sure you check that one out. We talked about, in that episode, different categories of interaction and how much you should be putting in your deck. So things like board wipes, single target interaction, counterspells, stuff like that. Today, we're going to dive deeper into some different categories of interaction and talk about how you can use those type of interactive spells in your decks.
Yeah, I think it's important to test out a diverse set of interaction to figure out what works best with your decks, within your pods. I feel like the type of interaction that is run in decks can contribute to the vibe of a pod. And even different power levels, because I think different types of interaction play better at different power levels. I feel like I used to restrict most of my interaction to like counter spells, hard spot removal like swords, path, or beast within, and like board wipes. And I think honestly that's a lot of what you see on EDHRec. I think those are the most common types of interaction. So we're actually not going to discuss these categories today. But I will say, in regards to these categories, I think it's important to remember that with these types of interactive spells, you want them to be flexible enough to interact with whatever you need. So like we actually talked a few weeks ago about how swords, even though it is like one of the most efficient removal spells, is very narrow. So it's like a little min-maxy because it's not as flexible. You can't remove something like an enchantment per se. I think you have a great example of this, a story that you're going to tell us. So let's actually jump into our first category, which is humble effects. Sure. And humble refers to an instant from Urza's Saga, 1 and a white for an instant until end of turn. Target creature loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 0/1.
Yes. This is, I think, a good example. I think most of the ones that exist now that are played more often are on auras, enchantment auras, and not on instants. And that makes them
way
so much
better.
more, way more impactful, way scarier to try to deal with. We're going to talk about it every week in our not budget commander, in our pre-con league that we were doing. We played a game last week, and I got off to a pretty quick start. I was pretty happy with how Angelo was doing. Was able to interact pretty heavily, clear the board a couple times, and then Angelo got hit with a Lignify. Should we read Lignify really quick?
Yeah, do you want to read that one? What's funny is I don't see that card very often. That might be the first time I've actually seen it cast at a table, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I know. It has the same kind of vibe as like a Darksteel Mutation or a Kenneth Transformation or whatever. But it is 1 and a green for a tribal enchantment, Treefolk Aura. It says enchant creature because it's an aura. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a Treefolk with base power and toughness 0/4. So my commander got turned into a 0/4, and the problem is I'm playing in Grixis, and in Grixis you don't have a lot of removal options that are not for removing creatures.
Yes. The enchantments are very difficult to remove in those colors, though it's getting better in black.
Getting better in black. And blue has bounce spells. Blue has a lot of bounce spells.
Yeah.
But the premium bounce spells are expensive monetarily and not really what I would be running in the deck. Like I just put in Snap in the deck, but Snap only hits creatures. But Snap is good to copy because I hit 2 things, right? Hit 2 things and untap lands.
4 lands.
Right.
Yeah.
4 lands, which is really good. I guess I would hit 2 things with any bounce spell. But with other bounce spells, like I could bounce other permanents, but I don't get the same upside as Snap. And so I'd rather play Snap for the upside than for the potential of being hit by a Lignify, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know. It's so hard to play. This is the conundrum I'm having. I don't like the idea of trying to play around these type of effects, but they're so good.
Can I say I think that they are good, and I can only speak from the pods that we play in. I think they are good because people don't play around them. Like I think they are good because when you hit something with a Kenrith transformation, it sticks.
Yeah, 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 and they're especially good in against. I mean, there are decks that can deal with it by like sacrificing the creature or whatever or blocking, but like something like Imprisoned on the Moon, you're stuck.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
Like,
got to be is that the meanest one? Let's
For
read
sure the
through
meanest
some of these
one.
examples actually. I'll start with Darksteel Mutation. This is, I think, one of the most popular ones in Commander. It's been around for a long time. 1 and a white for an enchantment or enchant creature. Enchanted creature is an insect artifact creature with base power and toughness 0/1 and has indestructible, and it loses all other abilities, card types, and creature types. So this one's very good because it makes it indestructible. You had a tree folk that you were trying to block with. You just wanted someone to attack you so you could block with it, get your commander back to the command zone, recast your commander. With Darksteel Mutation, you can't even do that. It's indestructible. Right. you have to remove it some other way.
Yeah, it has the downside of from someone who's casting Darksteel Mutation. It has the downside of them being able to block for free indefinitely if you don't have trample.
Sure.
But the upside of them not being able to block to kill their commander, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that's something because I've seen this in lower power pods where someone's playing this. Because if you're playing this, like say, if you're playing this in a Naya deck, you probably have trample and you're like really happy that this thing is a bug. If you're playing this in an Azorius deck, you're maybe a little less happy that. Or a Boros deck or something. Like you're less likely to have trample and you're less excited about this being able to just like block for free, right?
Just block. I guess it's like against Voltron, but in Voltron you're usually going to have trample. I don't know. I think this is good. I actually don't think there's that many downsides to this card.
For sure. I think it's a good card. I mean, I think I'm just trying to convince people not to play these effects because I think they're really difficult against them. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the solution is play more Aristocrats decks, except for with Imprisoned on the Moon.
And like I was saying before, I do think that another part of the answer is to just play more flexible removal.
Yeah, for sure. But there's not a lot in
some colors.
In white and green, there. In white and green, you're like, sweet, this is great. Sure. I can totally do that. But you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah. I think red struggles the most. Red struggles the most. Will you read Kenrith's transformation, because this might be my favorite one of these?
Yeah, absolutely. Kenrith's transformation is 1 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Kenrith's transformation enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. It loses all other card types and creature types.
This one cantrips.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's crazy.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I feel like I actually am having a hard time weighing if that's better than Trickster's Elk.
Let me read Trickster's Elk. So this is a new card, and I have started playing this in a lot of decks. This is 2 and a green for a 3/3 enchantment creature elk that has bestow for 1 and a green, so the same cost as Kenrith's transformation. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk. Yeah. So it does the same thing, except for when it dies, you get a 3/3 elk.
Right.
Would you rather have the card or a free 3/3 elk?
I mean, I think probably, but having a free 3/3 is like pretty cool.
Yeah,
like dying into a 3/3 is pretty awesome.
I mean, it's a reversed beast within.
Yeah,
right. Where it's like because inevitably they're gonna try and remove their own creature or the enchantment, and more often than not, it's easier to remove the creature. And then when they remove their own creature, you get the 3/3.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
That's pretty sweet.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
Can I also say that this is one of my favorite flavor texts of all time?
What is it?
It's wait. Is that one Dad? Rowan Kenrith to Will.
That's really good. Oh, we love Oko. Oh, that's crazy. That is great flavor text. I don't know if I've noticed that before. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I've always loved that one.
I love it. For the record, I don't think that one is Kenrith.
No, I don't think that one is Kenrith. Nope.
You mentioned Imprisoned in the Moon earlier. I think this one's the most difficult to interact with.
For sure. I always say on, but it's in. I forget that. Enchant creature, land, or planeswalker. Enchanted permanent is a colorless land with tap, add 1 colorless mana, and loses all other card types and abilities.
Oh, it's so brutal.
So
this one, you have to have enchantment removal.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Or land removal.
Mass land destruction.
But I feel like land removal is way harder to come by than enchantment removal.
Yeah. What's crazy is like this doesn't only hit creatures as well. So I think it's the best version of this. I will say the biggest downside to these, in my opinion, and what keeps them at low power levels for the most part, even though like at higher power levels you would think they'd be good because they're like they shut down people's strategies if they're like doing stuff with their commander, is the fact that they're all sorcery speed, except for this last one, which does see EDH play.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited to hear about that. So this is 2 and a blue for an enchantment or a with flash, and it has Storm. So when you cast the spell, you get a copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. It has enchant creature. An enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1.
Yes. So generally speaking, in higher power levels, we talk about threat level horizon a little bit. Not every episode, but we've talked about it pretty regularly. The threat level horizon is very, very short. And so sorcery speed interaction and removal is really bad. Unless, especially 1-for-1 sorcery speed interaction, right? Like that's incredibly bad. So this being instant speed, more than 1-for-1 interaction, makes this the most playable of this type of effect. Outside of something like a dress down, which is which is a little different, right?
A little bit different, yeah. Because this sticks around. We're like that's I think what we've noticed from the design of these cards, that more recently they stick around than just being for one turn.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. I don't. From what I understand, the only deck that I think a couple decks play this. I think the only deck that really, really plays this is Marnius Calgar, because all of the Storm copies are tokens.
Oh, and that's disgusting.
And they each enter individually because they're all on the stack as copies, and so you draw a card for each one that enters. If Marnius is on the battlefield,
this card is busted in that deck. That's insane.
Yeah, so I think it's incredibly good in that deck, and I think it sees some fringe play in other decks. But we just talked. You had mentioned like how power level can change how you want to play these, and I think that's something I want to talk about with each of these. Especially, we're going to talk about spoilers, bounce effects later, which we didn't talk about in our earlier episode. And I think each of these effects kind of have a place, and I think it's at different power levels, and I kind of want to talk about why they see their play, at those different power levels, and maybe why some don't.
Yeah, so where do you think humble effects fit in? I think we kind of already mentioned it, maybe, that I think they're generally played at lower or power levels or just more casual games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think but I think it's hard. But we're talking about how powerful they are too, right? So it's easy to say well, why aren't you playing these in your high 3s or 4s or whatever? But I think it's just that threat level horizon is that most of these are sorcery speed. And so you just need something that's something like Amphibian Downpour. That would be the one to play in a higher power game, because you can interact with something in a meaningful way.
So I actually think these fit in pretty well at bracket 3 because at bracket 2 and definitely bracket 1, it feels pretty bad to lock out somebody's commander. From a social experience standpoint, which these can do. If what happened to you at the Lignify, you'd never removed the Lignify from your commander. It was what was it, 5 turns? 4 or 5 turns, and you could not remove it. You were locked out. It was a competitive league, and so none of us felt sorry for you.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But in a casual game at a bracket 1 or bracket 2, Imprisoned at the Moon feels really bad.
Which is so interesting because these are cards that I traditionally associate with precons and bracket 2.
Yes, me too. But also I hesitate to put them in because of the feel bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think it sucks because Imprisoned on the Moon and Darkseid Mutation don't get bailed out by a board wipe either. Only Kenrith's does. And that's one of the things that makes these not feel so bad, right? Is someone wipes the board and you're like, okay, sweet, whatever.
Everyone reset and I got to replay my commander.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But your Darkseid Mutation, your Prison on the Moon, I guess Farewell or whatever, the most played board wipe these days, will do that, and we'll hit the enchantments. Like mass enchantment removal will do that as well.
Sure.
But yeah,
I'd love to hear from the community on this one. If you have a thought, where do humble effects fit in? Is it like bracket 2? Is it bracket 3? I feel like they're not really going to see that much play in bracket 4. So let us know. No. I'd really love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Also, if you want to look up some more examples of these effects or try and find some for your deck, you can use the O tag humble on Scryfall to see more of these effects.
Very cool. Yeah. Good looking out for everybody and me. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll wait for my my kickback from Scryfall on that one. Do you want to introduce the next category?
Yeah, these ones are banish effects. So banish refers to an enchantment from Journey to Nyx, banishing light, right? Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct.
Banishing light is 2 and a white for an enchantment. When this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. I think these are also known as Oblivion Ring effects.
Yeah, so Oblivion Ring was printed before banishing light, but in general, I think at least the Scryfall tag is banish for these style of effects. So yeah, even Oblivion Ring is tagged with banish now. So
gotcha. Yeah, I mean that's it makes more sense. Like Oblivion. Yeah, I would hear banish effect and understand somewhat intuitively what this is doing, and you'd have to know what Oblivion Ring
exactly what Oblivion Ring is. Yeah, same with like humble, right? Like you can kind of intuit what that means. So a lot of these effects are in white, and they generally allow the banished card to come back at some point. So banishing light, I think, is like the template of this, where when it leaves the battlefield, then they get their thing back that you banished. Some examples. My one that I like, that I play quite a bit, and actually I just realized I like this effect. I think as I was going through examples, I was like, oh, I play all of these. I really like these effects. The first one is Grasp of Fate. This is 1 white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until Grasp of Fate leaves the battlefield.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you like playing these? I know you said you play all of these.
I do play all of them, and I find joy every time I cast one.
You also have a Brago deck that specifically blinks permanents.
Yep.
Is that where you play all of them?
So I play Touch the Spirit Realm in honestly most white decks at this point. I think it's insanely good.
Phenomenal.
We're going to talk about that one in a minute. Palace Jailer, I think, is a phenomenally fun casual card. And so I run this in like more of my casual decks. Grasp of Fate, I do run in Brago. And that is actually the only deck that I currently have Grasp of Fate in. But as I have been thinking about it and preparing for this episode, I think that Grasp of Fate just belongs in more decks. It is pip intensive. It has 2 white pips. But it is strictly better banishing light. Because it does hit non-land permanents just like banishing light, except for you get to get 1 from each of your opponents. This is a 3-for-1 for any non-land permanent. And what's really cool is it comes with an insurance policy, because someone would potentially be disincentivized to remove this because the other 2 players get their things back as well. So like kind of comes with its own protection too, which is crazy.
Yeah, here's what I'll say about this. is I don't think you should be playing Banishing Light. Unless you
I don't think you care about enchantments.
Yeah, I mean, because Grasp of Fate is just like, and there's so many good versions of this effect. And Grasp of Fate, I think, is like weirdly like one of the better ones.
Yeah, I think it's the most played one.
I remember reading it.
Look at EDHRec, I think Grasp of Fate is the best one.
That's so funny, because I remember seeing Grasp of Fate a bunch and just being like, oh, this looks like okay, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think mostly because of the ephemeral nature of it, that like it only does it until it leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I, like most people, like the idea of removing something permanently, forever. Yeah, but okay, so let's talk about, I think, the paradigm shift that I'm having, which is more and more graveyards. They've always been an extension of your hand, right? Something being in the graveyard is better than being in your deck, not as good as on the battlefield, but almost as good as being in your hand, basically, right? Yeah. For the most part.
Worse than being in your hand, but yes.
Yeah, worse than being in your hand. But sometimes better, depending on the deck.
if you can reanimate things, then it is for cheaper than you can cast them. Then yes, better in the graveyard than in your hand.
Then better. Right. Yes, exactly.
You said that. You said that as a blanket statement because all of the decks that you play can reanimate things from the graveyard.
Yes. I did say sometimes better as a blanket statement, but I do appreciate the qualifier because yes, that is when specifically it is better to have things in your graveyard is when you can reanimate them for cheaper than you can cast them.
Mr. Sultai over here.
Yeah, gotta love it. Sultai Rakdos, baby. That's that's where I live. That's my wheelhouse. So because graveyards have been powerful and are becoming more powerful, something like an Infernal Grasp or a destroys target thing, though it is quite good and it can remove that thing has the potential of coming back. Whereas a Grasp of Fate removes that thing until Grasp of Fate is removed, and somebody has to use removal that they might have used on one of your relevant permanents on your Grasp of Fate to get their thing back if they want it. So either that thing is gone forever, or
you just went 1-for-1 with removal.
And it didn't actually hit one of your creatures.
Yeah. That's pretty good, actually. Now that
I
actually like
good.
that math a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I think I should probably be playing this more. And honestly, like I think people are playing it. Like I think that's why it's showing up so high in EDHRec. Touch the Spirit Realm is showing up lower. I think it's still very, very good. I love how flexible it is. So it's 2 and a white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature until Touch the Spirit Realm leaves the battlefield. And then it also has channel. So for 1 and a white, you can discard it, exile target artifact or creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. I love this because it is both removal and it's protection. This is one of the few spells that can help one of your creatures dodge a board wipe.
Yeah. And it's not actually a spell when you do that.
Yes.
It is
uncounterable.
Yeah. Uncounterable dodge a board wipe.
Yeah.
And instant speed.
Instant speed.
This is one of the few in this category that I think fits in the higher power category as well. If we're gonna be bucketing them, because of the way you can interact.
But also, I think you can play it at low power. There's nothing about this that makes it feel bad at low power. It just it can punch up.
Yeah. I think the same could be said for Amphibian Downpour, right? Because I think they both scale with power level because you're gonna see more bigger storm turns with Amphibian Downpour, and so you're going to get more benefit out of it.
Yeah.
And with Touch of Spirit Realm, you're going to see people that are trying to win on a shorter time horizon, and exiling something until the end of their turn is more relevant.
Yep.
And is not going to be as relevant in
I think
power.
that's just what makes this really good design. Like it's not the most played version of the effect, but it scales super well with power level. It's flexible. It's awesome. It's just like same with Amphibian Downpour.
Yep, really well done. And the last one here, one of the last ones, because there's one I want to talk about, but I need to remember what it's called. This one is called Palace Jailer.
Is it High Noon or Fateful Showdown or whatever? Fateful Showdown, because oh no, that would have been that was for the humble effects. It's technically Final Showdown is a humble effect, and I specifically did not put it in here because it's not a permanent. I'm getting kickback from Scryfall. You're getting it from Final Showdown.
I am getting kickback from Outlaws at Thunder Junction to push their cool mythic. So Palace Jailer is 2 white. Whoa, 2 white for a creature human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the monarch. Which is hilarious. I didn't realize it was until anyone else becomes the monarch. I thought it was until that player becomes the monarch. So it's until you're no longer the monarch.
Yep.
Which is sweet because Palace Jailer can die, and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Or get blinked, and it doesn't matter.
People don't know that a lot. Like people have removed this creature from my board, and then I'm like, you don't get your creature back. It's just when somebody else becomes the monarch. And they're like, oh, I've never actually read the card. And
which explains the card.
The card. I think this card is really, really fun at lower power levels. And it gives an opportunity for collusion and protection for yourself to take away the biggest threat. And then you say to your opponents, okay, don't attack me or else they're going to get it back.
That's
And
pretty good.
it's pretty good because then you get to draw more cards. You're not getting attacked. It acts as like protection from attackers. I like the politics of this card. Monarch is such a good mechanic
It's
for
a fun
Commander.
mechanic.
It's so
and
fun.
especially in like chill casual matches too.
Yeah.
I will say this one, like, it also gets out of hand a little bit too, where like Palace Jailers, this is permanent removal if you can like hold on to the Monarch, which is also like cool and fun because then people can like collude, but no one's going to do that to help someone get their creature
I've also
back.
recurred this like 4 or 5 times in one game before.
Oh,
and
it feels
it's
so bad.
Excellent. I mean, I drew so many cards. I mean, I drew like 5 or 6 extra cards during
Yeah,
the course
and
of
then-
the game with this.
And the nice thing is like all those creatures do eventually come back if someone else becomes the Monarch, right? Like,
Yeah.
So you could if you maintain the Monarch that whole time and then someone else suddenly becomes the Monarch, that's like 6
All
creatures.
of those creatures come back. Yeah,
That's
what ended up
actually so
happening
funny.
was like I just kept doing it on my turn, and so I just continually become the Monarch on my turn, and then I just kept taking back the same commander. I just kind of kept the same commander off the board. And it was great. It worked really, really well. So I am here for Palace Jailer. I think that in your head you should read the Monarch portion as draw a card.
Yeah.
And potentially more than one card if you get to stay the Monarch for 2 turns. Like, yeah, I think it's pretty sweet.
Pretty cool. It's a pretty good one.
For 2 white. And it's so cheap now. It used to be expensive because it like dodged a reprint for a really, really long time.
And then Commander Masters.
And
printed it into the
and
ground.
Tales of Middle Earth Commander. So like the Lord of the Rings
Oh,
Commander
nice.
decks reprinted it too.
Oh,
So,
and Final Fantasy Commander as well.
yeah, so it's been reprinted a ton recently. It used to be
that's
kind of
great.
expensive because it was only in Conspiracy.
Oh, that's awesome. That feels so good because it's really
Yeah.
like it's a
perfect
fun
for
card. It's a
Commander.
good card. Yeah, that's great.
It's so good.
Can I tell you one that I've considered running in some of my decks that is
Yes.
probably one of the meanest of these effects,
Okay.
depending on how you build your deck? It's Leonin Relic Warder,
Uh-huh.
um,
Yep.
which is white for a creature cat cleric 2/2 that says when Leonin Relic Warder enters the battlefield, you may exile target artifact or enchantment. When Leonin Relic Warder leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Kelton, you did a little nod of understanding. How is this different from the ones we've been reading so far?
I'm pretty sure I've been at the mercy of this one before. I'm trying to remember exactly why I hate this card.
Okay, let me tell you why Leonin Relic Warder is different. Is because those are 2 separate clauses on the card and 2 separate triggers. So, if Leonin Relic Warder enters the battlefield and I target a creature, and then I sacrifice Leonin Relic Warder or blink Leonin Relic Warder, it leaves the battlefield before the other creature has been exiled by creature or artifact or enchantment. Sorry, doesn't hit creatures. Fiend Hunter is the other version that hits creatures.
Yep.
Before it is left, the target has left the battlefield, so it cannot be returned to the battlefield from Leonin Relic Warder's second
That's
trigger.
right. That's right.
And then
I
it
think
leaves the
I've
battlefield
actually
forever.
gotten hit by that in Vintage Cube, I think is where I have seen this happen.
Yeah. So this one is one that can be a little bit abused. And so if you're trying to fit this effect into higher power games in a way that's abusable and repeatable, then look no further.
Yeah, then this is a good one to do it.
Then this is a good one to do it with.
Yep, that is it. That was a great bonus one. I like it. So when do you generally play banish effects? Are these like lower power, higher power?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't play banish effects, but
you also don't play white.
But I also don't play white very much. I play Touch of Spirit Realm when I do play white. I like that one a lot. I would play banish effects if I were playing an enchantress deck, because there's lots of them around enchantments. I would play them in lower power mostly, I think.
Yeah, I think low to mid these work really well. I think that Grasp of Fate you might be underestimating a little bit. I think it's pretty good. And Touch the Spirit Realm, I honestly believe probably goes in most white decks.
Yeah, I agree with you on Touch of Spirit Realm. I would say the caveat would be how much are you abusing these being on permanence? If you're blinking them, if you are making copies of them, like
Yeah,
that can get very
Brago's the
oppressive.
only deck that I'm abusing them with, and abusing them in the sense that I just get to choose new targets every turn.
Sure.
Like it's not exiling additional things. It's just giving me the opportunity to reset them every turn.
Yeah, so but if we think about a deck like Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, which first of all is like an oppressive deck anyways.
Sure.
But like I get that like Elish Norn's oppressive but like
Any Panharmonicon deck.
Any Panharmonicon style deck,
Yeah.
these start to be like super oppressive.
Yes.
And so that's just something to watch out for is like they are relatively low power in their function, again, because most of them are sorcery speed, and they're not costed particularly efficiently, and some of them are restricted in what they can hit.
That's actually that's something that I found with Brago. I think I talked about it before on the channel that in general, I don't play a ton of permanent based removal or I don't know, other effects, right? I just prefer to play the spell version. There's a smaller window of interaction. It seems more efficient. Some of these are like kind of overcosted. Decks that care about permanence or are able to get multiple triggers off of permanent by blinking them or Panharmonicon style effects, they make worse cards better. So like these things that seem like they're more interactable, they are a little bit overcosted. Well, it's not overcosted if you're doing it multiple times. And so I think a time when you want to play these is when your deck synergizes with them. However, that also pushes the power level of these up a little bit, and you kind of have to be careful. Like one of my versions of Brago that had only permanence was miserable to play against. And so I backed off of that because I was like, oh, these cards that I used to think were bad are now all of a sudden too good because of the way they interact with Brago. So that's the one thing I'd say is like, yeah, you do want to play these in decks where the deck cares about these being permanents or enchantments or whatever. Then also take a close look at how that influences the power level, because I think these do play better at low to mid powered decks.
100%. Context is very important when you're thinking about the power level of specific cards. Let's move on to bounce effects. Can we talk about bounce effects?
Please. So banish effects are very white. Bounce effects are very blue.
Yes.
And bounce generally just refers to returning something to its owner's hand. So you mentioned Snap before. You just added this to your Unhallowed deck. Snap is 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Untap up to 2 lands.
Yep. Pretty quintessential bounce effect. A lot of bounce effects hit permanents, not just creatures. Let's see. Man, I wish I could think of the one off the top of my head. There's one in like every set that's like 1 in a blue, return target permanent to its owner's hand, and it has like kicker for additional 1 in a blue, and you draw a card.
Is Into the Royal?
Into the Royal is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, Into the Royal is a perfect example of that.
Yep.
Hits a non-land permanent. Cyclonic Rift is like the best version of this because you can cast it for a baby rift and you hit one thing, or a big rift you hit a lot of things. Bounce effects are the one on this list that I play the most of. I think bounce effects are incredibly good, incredibly powerful, incredibly flexible.
Yep.
Let's read Snap again. What I like about Snap, one of the things I like about Snap is it says return target creature to its owner's hand. That doesn't say target creature an opponent controls. Some bounce effects will say that, will stipulate that specifically. But a lot of them don't. A lot of them just say target non-land permanent. Cyclonic Rift does say an opponent controls, because if it overloaded and it didn't say that, then that would be a problem.
If it overlorded?
If it overlorded and it didn't say that.
That's a throwback to like, I think one of our first
episode
episodes.
3 or 4 or something. Yeah. But what I like about this flexibility is the same kind of thing that you have with a Touch the Spirit Realm, right? Is that you can use it for interaction, you can use it to protect your own things. Snap, for example, wouldn't save me from a Lignify or a Darkseid Mutation if I was trying to hit the enchantment. But I can bounce my own creature back to my hand.
Totally.
And then get out from under that. Or I can hit someone else's thing. As you can tell, this is my favorite on this list.
Yeah. This one is awesome, and I mean, just the rebate feels so good. And like you said, and on Hello, you're copying it, so you're actually going mana positive, which is crazy.
Which is sweet, which is awesome.
A common one that you see, I think, in a lot of precons or just like at lower power levels is like Aetherize. This is 3 and a blue for an instant return all attacking creatures to their owner's hand. So this is like a huge blowout if someone goes in for an alpha strike, and all of a sudden, you flip it on them and they lose their entire board state.
Yep. Another one that I'm considering running in a Hello as well, because I think is so good, is Run Away Together.
Oh, I put this one on here as one that I think similar to like Grasp of Fate or...
Was this your sleeper pick?
This is
I just jump?
No, dude, I want to talk about it. That's why I put it on here. It is my sleeper pick. Like, I think that I forgot about how good this card can be in Commander.
Yeah. So let's read Run Away Together. This was farther down on our list, and I jumped to it because I saw it because I think this card is so good. It's 1 and a blue for an instant. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by different players. Return those creatures to their owner's hands. What is in 1v1? This means I bounce your thing and I bounce my thing. But in Commander, this is 2 mana. I bounce 2 things controlled by any 2 different people. And it has to be creatures. But you have 3 other players that potentially have creatures on the battlefield that you can choose from. So I can say, hey, player A, player B, you each I bounce this thing and this thing to your hands for 2 mana, which is an incredible rate.
Yep.
Like a phenomenal rate. And it can still bounce your own thing to protect it, which is so good.
Yeah, I think it feels really good for protection. If someone tries to remove your thing, you're like, well, I'm going to save it by returning it to my hand, and you're going to lose your thing. Your thing's going to also go back to your hand. And that's like, oof.
Yeah, and like I feel like in 1v1, that's like the dream scenario, right?
Yeah.
Is like they have some giant token with a bunch of counters on it, and they try to remove your creature, and you're like, okay, sweet. I bounce my creature to my hand, and I bounce your giant token, and now look where we are. Look what you did. Look what you made me do.
I think it can sometimes be a dead card in 1v1. At least that's what I've seen in Limited when this is in a draft format. It can sometimes be a dead card because you don't always have something of yours that you want to return to your hand. It's never a dead card in Commander because you can target 2 opponents, and that's fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah, phenomenally good. Another one on this list, Sink into Stupor, which is also
a land,
a counterspell, and a land. Sink into Stupor is 1 blue for an instant. Return target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. It's
so good. I love. I didn't put any other of the spell bounce cards on here like Reprieve or Remand. I do love those cards. I think they are very, very, very good. And then this just being a land means an untapped land on the other side just means you can run it in every blue deck because you can, and that's why it's a $8 uncommon. So
it's pretty
go
pretty
through your bulk
card.
boxes and see if you missed this one when you were opening Modern Horizon 3.
It's so stinking good. See if you accidentally crumpled up a foil version and threw it away or something.
Yep. Okay, I have one card I want to discuss, and then there's a sister mechanic to bounce that I want to discuss as well. The card I want to discuss is Mystic Confluence. I want to know if this card is good in Commander because I hear both sides of this all the time. 3 blue for an instant. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Return target creature to its owner's hand or draw a card. So you could hard counter something, return up to 3 creatures to their hand, draw up to 3 cards, or any combination of those.
Any combination. Yeah, so this fits in the category of cards that I've always wanted to play and have be really good, and I've never cast one time in my entire life.
This card is so good in 1v1.
It's so insane. This one and like Sublime Epiphany is so insane in 1v1.
And Cryptic Command. Right?
Cryptic Command. They're all so good. In a multiplayer format, having to hold up 5 mana for something is really rough.
Yeah.
Like even something like the one I'm thinking of is Access Denied, but what's the one that's like mana drain but makes treasures?
Spell Swindle.
Spell Swindle. Yeah,
Yep.
Spell Swindle is like I said, it's mana drain, but it makes treasures, but it's 5 mana.
Yep. So
And
this one has a failsafe though. Like
because you draw cards, right?
it's a Lorien Revealed, right? Like Lorien
Yeah.
Revealed is island. It's a tapped
True.
island in your deck. But if you don't need it to be an island, it can draw you 3 cards for 5 mana. This is a counterspell in your deck, and if you don't need it to be a counterspell, then it draws you 3 cards for 5
mana at instant speed,
at instant speed, which is probably better.
which I think is better. I think this card's good. The
I think
problem
it's
is
probably
it doesn't have the 1 mana outlet of do this, like give me something in the early game if I need it.
This does nothing for you in the early game. And if there's something you would rather be doing at 5 mana, then it becomes kind of a dead card until later in the game. But this will probably always be useful in the later game. I don't know. I just need to throw it in some decks and play it and see how I feel about it. I've been putting it off too long. I just need to throw it in some decks.
Yeah, I have it in my Hello deck. I've not drawn it yet. I think copying the spell feels really good.
Yeah, and hell, it's great.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing, by the way. If you're copying spells, something to keep in mind that I learned from playing on Arena that I didn't know is if you copy a spell, you have to choose the same modes that you chose from the original version when you copy the spell. So
But
if I were to cast
but if you copy a spell, you can choose different targets. You cannot choose different modes, but you can choose different targets.
You can't choose different targets. Correct. So if I were to say, I want to counter this spell unless the controller pays 3 twice because I want you to pay 6 mana and I need to draw a card, and I copy it, unfortunately, the copy I can't say, and I want to draw 3 more cards. You have to say, and I'm going to counter another spell twice, and I'm going to draw 1 more card. So what you want to do if you're going to copy it is counter the spell once, draw 2 cards, counter the spell once, draw 2 cards, right? Like you have to...
Yeah.
You have to balance it out
That's
in
draw
a way.
Counter a spell, draw 4 cards for 5 mana is
It's
really
pretty
good.
insane. Yeah, pretty dang good. Pretty darn good. Yeah, and I think this card's phenomenal. I'm looking at foil versions right now on TCG Player because I'm going to put my deck.
If you want to look up more of these bounce effects, you can look up the OTAG removal bounce on Scryfall to see more of these. I think that these are the types of effects that scale really well from low power up to high power. And the reason I think they scale into high power is because a lot of times a bounce spell at higher power is as good as just straight up removing it, hard removal, because the games don't last as long. So sometimes you just need to remove something so you can win on your turn. Specifically in CEDH, right? So that's why like Snap I think is so good, is because in a late game you can remove something for that turn and you didn't use mana to do it. It's free. So I think that these scale very, very well with power level.
Yeah. If you are looking for options for CDH, Snap is one of the premier ones these days. Cyclonic Rift a little bit if you're playing like a bunch of big mana. The 2 really big ones would be like Chain of Vapor if you can utilize a Chain of Vapor, and
Into the Floodmaw, is that?
Yes, the Bloomburrow one. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
That one's
Into
really
the
good.
Floodmaw is the other one. Yeah.
Okay, the sister effect that I want to ask you about that I didn't put on here and I should have. How do you feel about tuck effects? So ones that like put it on like the top of their library or 2 cards under the top of their library or whatever.
Better than I used to, and I think most of that comes from limited. Mostly because it feels, especially if they're instant speed effects, probably not as good in Commander. I guess like I'm pretty biased from like my limited experience with those cards, where like if you're playing a pretty controlling deck in limited, you can do that at instant speed. It blanks their next draw potentially if they have to put it on top, like if they choose to put it on top, or it's gone forever if they put it on bottom. Right? It's effectively removal if they put it on bottom, and if they put it on top, they blank the next draw, and you can hold up like Counterspell or something. Or if they're going to do it on the next turn. That feels really good. In Commander, I don't know how I feel about it. I've not had it done very much. I've only had it done potentially once or twice to me, and one of those times was like a really early Tuck My Talisman from you.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I was going to say the ones that I really liked, I really like the counter spells that do this, like Memory Lapse or Hinder will do this as well. Technically, Chaos Warp is a Tuck effect, so technically, I mean, I have a lot of precons that run Chaos Warp, though I personally don't really like Chaos Warp. The one... So Ether Spouts is crazy because it's just Etherize for 1 more mana, but it puts all attacking creatures on the top or bottom of their library, which is crazy.
That's so insane.
So mean. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I think Ether Spouts is pretty good. The ones that I do play are Condemn, which is just 1 white mana for an instant. Put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library. Its controller gains life equal to its toughness. So it's kind of like exiling it, except they can go get it out of their library again. And then I really like Expel from Erazka, which is 1 and a blue for an instant, and it has a send. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you have the city's blessing, you may put it on top of its owner's library instead, which I think is like a very fun, like casual Tuck effect.
Good.
Yeah.
That's Expel from Erazka is so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Play this one over Into the Royal any day.
You like this one better than Into the Royal?
Yeah, mostly because I have played Into the Royal and those cards so many times, and it hardly ever comes up that I feel like I have enough mana to advance. Yeah, that I could advance my game state and also draw a card.
Sure. Yeah, I think this one's a very fun one to play, especially at casual power levels.
I like Condemn as well. That's one I should be considering a lot more often.
I do run Condemn. You just don't play white enough, Spencer. There's there's a whole slew of white cards that you could be playing if you just open your mind.
Hey man, I've brewed plenty of white decks. I've just never built any of them.
I love it. We'll convince you eventually. I'll just keep telling you about cool white cards. Speaking of, let's talk about some protection effects. So these are effects that can protect you and or your board, and I want to focus more on ones that can protect specific creatures. So there are things like T-Pro and Heroic Intervention, which will just protect all of your stuff, but I want to talk about the ones that protect specific creatures, because those do... Protection and interaction have like a bit of a Venn diagram where I feel like these feel like the times that you use these effects, they feel like interaction. They feel like you're countering a spell practically. So I think one of the most popular ones is Tamio's Safekeeping, which is 1 green mana for an instant. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. You gain 2 life.
Oh, that card's so... I forget how good that card is.
It's very good.
I am trying to remember how that differs from Snakeskin Veil, and it differs in the fact that it gives it also indestructible.
Yeah.
On top of hexproof.
Snakeskin Veil is only for hexproof. I made that mistake on an episode a few weeks ago, and someone called me out for it. So thank you for reminding me that Snakeskin Veil does not give hexproof or indestructible, which I misremembered that it did.
Huge call out.
Yeah. The other one that does this is Tyvar's Stand. Will you read Tyvar's Stand for us?
Yes, I love Tyvar's Stand. If instant, target creature you control gains +X and gains hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. This is my favorite of the two. And it's so much cheaper than Tamio's Safekeeping.
Oh, monetarily. Okay.
Yes.
Here you go. May I interest you in one that's even cheaper? They have now printed a third effect that does the same thing. I think these are the only 3 effects that give both hexproof and indestructible at instant speed for 1 green mana. This one is Defend the Rider, and you've never heard of this before because it's from Ether Drift. So for 1 green mana, you get an instant choose 1. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, or create a 1/1 pilot.
Whoa, permanent is crazy.
I know. So I think, does Tamio Safekeeping do a permanent? It does. So Tyvar Stand only does creatures. Tamio Safekeeping does permanents, which is why I think it's $2.
I see.
And Defend the Rider is 47 cents. So this is everybody's notice to go spec on Defend the Rider because it's practically Tamio Safekeeping.
Right, and Tamio Safekeeping, first of all, is a common.
Yeah.
And the only difference is it gains you life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And this one can create you a 1/1 if you need to.
Yeah, Stock Up was $12, everybody. And that was another uncommon from this set. Go spec on Defend the Rider really quick.
Yeah. I bought a few of them for my collection because I think I'll probably start running them in more green decks.
I think it's really good. I think it's this falls in the same trap of the Jeskai deck that you made that cares about energy.
Oh, sure. You think that it has to be mounts and vehicles?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. It falls in that category, and certainly it like feels really good in those decks, right?
Yeah.
But can I interest you in Jund, where you just get a 1/1 with this for fun and then can sack it for something? Like,
sure. Sack it for value.
Is like,
I think this is a good card.
This is a sweet card.
Yeah.
You should put this in Corvold for sure.
It is in Corvold, or I bought one so that I could put it in Corvold.
So you could
I don't remember.
I'm going to buy a couple copies of this. This is a great card.
It's an excellent card.
I will say, I run Tyvar Stand in only one of my decks. I play a fair amount of green. I don't play a lot of green that cares about protection because I play a lot of Sultai that likes to reanimate stuff.
Yep.
The one I run it in is my Tana and Tevish deck, and I like Tyvar Stand the best.
Because it also buffs Tana.
It also buffs Tana. It also makes Tana big enough to connect with and do combat damage. So
this can protect Tevish, though.
That other one can protect Tevish. And can make a 1/1 that I can use to sack to Tevish. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, anyways, I do like that they're printing more of these effects. Another one that we talked about recently is Collective Resistance. 1 and a green for an instant with Escalate for a green. Choose one or more destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or target creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So this is the same thing, costs 1 and a green, but it also has the added flexibility of being a removal spell on top of that.
Yep. And then the last one here is Ephemerate, which is 1 white for an instant, exile target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. And it has Rebound, which means you can cast this spell from your hand, if you cast it from your hand, as it resolves. If you cast this spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. I stumbled over this so badly because I was thinking if there was any time where I have exiled this off the top of my library, cast it from exile off the top of my library, and then rebounded it on accident.
No. You were trying to think if you have. Yeah, it has to be from your hand.
Right. Because I think I might have done that because because in my brain I read it as the first time you cast this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. This is a $4 common.
Yeah, it's so good.
It needs to be reprinted at common in a set, but they haven't because it's really, really good, and it probably doesn't fit in at a common power level. I'm like a very firm believer in this card, and I would be running it in more decks if I had more copies of it. But I don't. I have one copy, and so it's like in one deck. I love this card because I generally play it in decks where I care about ETBs. So I'm just going to run it out to trigger an ETB twice, but it can be played for protection to protect a creature, potentially trigger its ETB if it has it. But then on the second time, if the creature that you protected doesn't have an ETB, the second time you cast it, you can just use it for a value ETB, right? Like you can just hit a different one of your creatures that does have a relevant ETB. So
that's huge.
These cards, what more can you ask for 1 white mana? It's so good.
I have a question. Rebound is a trigger, right? So it gives you the ability to cast it as it resolves. So I can respond to say I only have 1 creature on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. That creature does not have an ETB. But I need to protect it from something. And I'm worried I'm not going to get the value from Ephemerate.
Okay.
But I have a card in hand. I untap, and I can flash that creature in, and it does have an ETB. I can flash it in on top of the rebound trigger before I cast Ephemerate. Cool. That is very cool.
I think you can.
Cool tech. I like it.
Yep. It's pretty sweet. I like this one a lot. So where do you think protection effects generally play in regards to power level or the types of decks that want protection effects? Like these kind of like single target protection effects. Because obviously, like T-Pro, you could slam in every white deck.
Yeah. Oh man, I think I think they can kind of fit anywhere. So a lot of these are in green and white. The protection specifically in green outside of T-Pro and like Dawn's Truce, and potentially some others. Like there's some on creatures that like Guardian of Faith does kind of the same thing, but it's on a creature. I think they frankly fit at a lot of power. Flare of Fortitude is also like pretty good and is free.
There are some like really good ones that are kind of like T-Pro light that do a lot. That cover like all of your creatures.
We're talking about the single target ones.
I want to know where I should be putting Defend the Rider and Tamiyo's.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. You did qualify that. Again, though, I frankly think they can fit at about any power level, but in moderation, especially at higher power levels, but kind of at every power level. Mostly because I think, like I said, they're mostly in green and white. And green and white don't play stack interaction. And so they have a hard time with like something trying to destroy your creature and you being like, well, it's destroyed, I guess. Right? And so like this is your way to interact with a stack meaningfully in a way that protects your win conditions. And that is like counterspells are so good because they can stop someone's thing, but they also protect your win conditions, right? And that's like great. This is like one half of that. And like if we look at something like a Veil of Summer, right? A Veil of Summer, which is 1 green spells you can't if an opponent casts a blue spell this turn, you draw a card, and then spells you control can't be countered, and permanents you and creatures you control gain protection from
blue.
Gain hexproof from blue and black. It's blue and black, but
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's not as good as one of these effects for protecting a single creature, right?
Yeah.
And is played in, hexproof from blue and black, it says. It is played in, like, CDH is one of, like, the premier CDH cards in green, right?
Yep. Because you're battling against blue every time.
Because you're battling against blue against it every time, and you're trying to combo off, right? Yep. And so, but the second half of this is relevant occasionally, right? Yep. But it's not as good as these other effects. So I do think they have a place, but I just wouldn't stuff my deck full of them. I'd say they took up maybe 30% of my interaction suite if I'm not
30%
playing counterspells at higher power levels.
That's going to be like 4 to 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 of them.
So
yeah, absolutely.
I think these probably play, in my opinion, low to mid power the best. I have a hard time knowing how many of these effects to put in my deck because I similarly feel like you don't want to put a lot of these in your deck. Like you want like 3 to 4.
Yeah.
But if I want 3 to 4 of them, that's telling me that there's something in my deck that I'm wanting to protect frequently. And so then I probably want more of them, right? Like I want to make sure let's talk about Corvold. Corvold always gets removed because it's Corvold and you should remove Corvold, right? So if I want protection for Corvold in my deck, do I just put 3 or 4 of these in? Or do I make sure that I put enough in that I always have one in hand when I cast Corvold so I can always protect Corvold? Right? This is like kind of my conundrum with protection effects because I like protection effects in lower power levels. I think it feels better than a counterspell in lower power levels. And I never know how many to put in because if I'm trying to protect something, I probably always want to have one in hand when I play the thing that I want to protect. I don't know. This one's a bit of a conundrum for me that I haven't figured out yet.
So can I tell you, I just looked up one of my deck lists. I looked at my Tana and Tevish deck list, which is one of my decks
running protection.
Where I'm running protection because I really care about protecting Tana because Tana is 4 mana and a 2/2, exceptionally fragile. I am running Heroic Intervention. We're putting that aside.
Yep.
Aside from Heroic Intervention, I'm running 4 pieces of single target protection. Snakeskin Veil, Tyvar Stand, let me find it. Gaia's Gift, which I think is a really good one, and Revitalizing Repast. I'm playing all of those copies because they put counters on Tana or they buff Tana in some way.
Yes. Revitalizing Repast only does give Indestructible, though. It does not give Hexproof.
It does not give Hexproof.
So if you want to swap that out with Defend the Rider,
Defend the Rider, I think, is also very good. The purpose of a lot of these is I
Just
include
buff,
all of them
yeah.
because they buffer too.
Yeah.
They make her bigger.
Yeah.
Which is important for getting through and making saprolings. And I think that number has been relatively sufficient. Like,
Yeah. I think
because
it's
I will
probably true.
because the most bummer thing is having one of those in hand and like never need it being just dead the whole game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And 5, including heroic intervention, which for the purposes of this deck is single target protection.
Yep. I don't have a hypergeometric calculator on hand, so I'm going to make up some percentages. If
Sure.
putting 4 of these in your deck means that you see them in like somewhere like between 15 and 25% of games, is that enough? Like, are you just okay with Tana getting removed in the other 85 to 75% of games?
Probably because I think what happens is you don't see one and Tana gets like removed once and then maybe you see one later in the game
To
and you're
protect
fine.
Tana the second time.
To protect Tana the second time, right?
I like that.
So
I can buy that.
because our argument for board wipes was like 3 to 5 board wipes, right? And you're maybe going to see one board wipe in the game. Is like kind of our math there. And so I think the math kind of fits for protection as well. Is like you want to see maybe one protection spell in the game.
Yeah.
Because you're going to use it at a key moment where you don't want to have to pay 10 mana for your 4 mana commander.
Yeah.
And then they're going to survive or something like that, right?
That.
I
think I feel like even though I can't justify statistically why that's the right number, that is also what my gut is telling me. And I think generally what I put in my deck is like I put like 3 or 4 of these effects in a deck. And I have other protection stuff. Like I have like Swiftfoot Boots or whatever, right?
Yep.
Also in the deck that's serving as protection. Or I have like some counter spells if I'm in blue. But I think like in general, like these type of like single target protections, instant speed protection spells, I generally want to run like 3 or 4 of them if I want to run them.
Yeah. And I think those are the ones I include in like the interaction suite, right? It's like you can't.
I don't count
or lightning
Swiftfoot Boots
greaves.
as interaction. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Cool. Okay, well, I love it. Hopefully, you all maybe found some new types of interaction that you want to try in some of your decks. See if they are a good fit for your pod and the kind of play experience that you are trying to cultivate. If you have any interaction spells that you think are really cool, you want to share them with the channel, make sure to put them in the comments. You can also join our Discord. Make sure to subscribe. And until next time, remember to always pay the one.